All right, let's welcome everybody in to our full 2-hour Four Nations edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and 360 Sportsnet as well. And Sportsnet Plus. We're covered here for the next 2 hours.
For lots of places.
Nick Kypreos, that was Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jen Rolnick pushing all the right buttons. Sammy, you okay over there? We just finished watching a win by Team Canada that sets up a Canada-USA final.
Woohoo!
Thursday night. Everything seemed to be well in control. We had cruise control after the first 20 minutes. And then the last
patch.
2 minutes, only the savior, Sid Crosby, take a hit to make a play.
Just a bully at the end and this stupid thing. Give me that. What a play by Sid.
All in all, a win for Team Canada, and Sammy can take a deep breath.
I actually don't even want them to play Thursday. Can we just flip a coin? I am so nervous already for that, but that was a crazy end of the game. We're rushing around here to get everything ready for the show. Like, we're on at 4. Get the lineup printed, everything figured out, and I'm kind of just getting things ready. And I see the first one go in. I look at Kevin. I'm like, do we really have to do this? And then the second goes in. I'm like, oh, he said to me, he's like, this is a bit of a game here all of a sudden. Granlund shoots one in. Like, why am I stressing about this? This game was 4-0. So I wouldn't say it leaves the best taste in your mouth, but a win's a win. You look ahead to Thursday. But, man, Finns, they don't quit.
Yeah, kudos to them for battling back. But I understand that everyone had a little nervous moment there. I understand you don't want those pucks to go in. But for 55 minutes of that game, that sure was exactly what you expected out of Canada. Handle your business. Big guys showed up. First and second stars are McDavid, McKinnon. Binnington much better. Does the last few minutes change how you feel about the whole thing that much, Kip?
Well, we can look at a few breakdowns on the goal, but we can also just start in net. I don't think that, I'm not speaking for you guys, but anybody surprised Jordan Binnington officially named the starter earlier today?
Yes.
You were surprised?
100% surprised. I thought for sure it'd be Hill.
Wow.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh.
I understand.
Bite my tongue. I thought we would all be unanimous. There was no time for Hill.
There's no time for Hill.
I got no time for Binnington right now.
You find a way to lose this game, you're going to get roasted.
If you put Hill in.
Yeah. I think you needed to go down with a ship on Binnington.
I don't think it's any different. If you stick with Binnington after he gives up a couple of softies, or at least one softie, and he gives up a bunch in this one and looks bad, you go, God, you had Aiden Hill right there. Did he have to go back to the guy who had been struggling? I just figured, Kip, this is not a tournament that's long enough to let someone work through difficulties. So I thought they'd go to Hill. I don't disagree with them going to Binnington. I just expected them to go to Hill.
I don't think he's working through anything. I think this is who he is.
I agree with that.
So and the acceptance of who he is, they're on board with it.
Yeah. Okay, clearly they are, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that 24 hours ago that they were fully Team Binnington.
Do you think, and there's a lot to talk about with Cooper here, but do you think part of Cooper's mentality with the way he is with the Lightning, where he just has his starting goal? He's got a very good starting goal. He's had a very good starting goalie for a long time, but that's the guy that plays, and whatever happens.
I do like it.
It's just I'm not screwing around with this. He hasn't been bad enough for
Vasilevsky didn't get pulled the whole year.
Yeah,
One year in the playoffs, they scored 7 on him. You're like, nope, he's in there still.
I don't know if that bleeds over. Obviously, there's been some Lightning flavor
Doug
to this.
Armstrong saying, hey, but I trust this guy.
I don't ever recall Vasilevsky having
listen, Binnington
a reputation for he's going to let a bad goal in.
No, of course not.
And this guy does.
Yes.
This guy is one bad goal a game. And you can get away with it against Sweden. You can get away with it against Finland, as they did today.
Barely on both accounts, but yes.
Barely on both accounts. But your lineup should be good enough where he can let in a bad goal, you still win. Mm-hmm. But not Saturday night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, one bad goal was the difference between a game going in overtime or losing in regulation. And his bad goal Saturday night lost the game for them.
Really? You
in
hated
60
it.
minutes.
Yeah. And so I guess that's part of why I thought they'd say, okay, well, we just can't go back. Now, one thing I will say about that goal is it's not just the goal. It's the timing of the goal where you talk about the start, the electricity, the adrenaline, the McDavid beautiful goal. And then all of a sudden, the way that goal changes the tone of the game and the shape of the way you have to play. If you can score the next one and make the Americans have to go get one and take chances, it opens things right up. The second, all right, we're back to a tie game. U.S. can fall back in its structure. It changes the play from there. And that, to me, was why it was so damaging. This says to me, by going back to him, a lot more about they don't think much Aiden Hill. They don't think he's the better guy.
Yeah.
They just, Binnington's won the cup. They trust him. I know Hill has too, but
I guess you're just not, you're not going to 2010 Luongo here.
no.
It's another guy that's a
not the next
very
option.
similar goalie in Aiden Hill. So we'll see about that. But, I mean, do you guys want to talk more about Finland or you guys want to talk about Saturday night?
What happened Saturday? What's the big deal about Saturday?
Yeah, I think we're wasting everyone's time if we do too much Finland. We can get to it if we have more time.
We are. We're going to try to track down Edzo, Eddie Olczyk.
Mm-hmm. Open
Hockey
for 5
analyst
o'clock.
TNT. So we should have him at the top of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, we'll try to get some sound too as well from the hockey game as it trickles in. But
Like
sit back and relax on Family Day and get our crazy takes.
Let's talk hockey.
Yeah, happy Family Day, guys.
Happy Family Day. I saw Saturday night. I think that's the most electric hockey game outside of a cup final, and probably including because it wasn't two fan bases, heart rates. It was the collective nations. You're not going to poo-poo that game. God,
I'm
please
not
don't
going to
do this.
poo-poo it. I'm not going to poo-poo it. But like, there's people screaming that was the greatest hockey game that we've ever seen on the planet, and I'm like, not really, not really.
No.
But I get the buildup and the excitement and the fights. I get all of that, and like the stars were aligned beautifully for this game, and you cannot hide the political aspect of it that built this thing up. But once the game settled down, it was a lot of kind of cancellation. To me, it was a lot of Tortorella hockey, clog the neutral zone, keep everything on the outside. The Stars couldn't get going. There's a lot of frustration in that game, too.
But to me, it was beautiful hockey. Like, it was the Americans defended like hell. You had guys, Matthews defends well. Like, it was really hard to get anywhere. And I thought plays were still made, but there was no breakdowns. And so it was like elite on elite. And you said cancellations, and I agree that there's a lot of neutralizing plays. But, I mean, if you watch a game where there's a lot of breakdowns of goals, you go, that stinks. No one defends.
I'm not saying that it was not entertaining or it was not a special game.
Right.
But the best game ever in the history of mankind.
But who said that?
Take it easy.
Who said that?
Oh, you I don't know, Eric Engels. Okay? I don't know. I mean, there's a few of them out there.
Buddy, people enjoyed it. It
I'm
was unbelievable.
I'm not saying that.
But people, I mean, anybody says, it's the greatest thing ever. It's what we always do. It's just people bloviate about these things. But that first period. 9
seconds in, people were calling it the greatest start. And it's like, okay, 3 fights.
It was incredible.
But it's not the actual game, it's the fights.
Well, that's the start of the game. I mean, challenge that.
But
Give me the next best start to a game.
But that's if you like that. If you don't like it, then it's not.
Like it.
Everyone likes it.
Who doesn't like it?
Not everybody.
But who cares about them? Are we doing the show for the people that don't like that? Or are we doing it for the show who do like that?
I loved it, me personally, but I'm just not ready to anoint it the greatest hockey game on the planet. That's all.
This Zag sucks.
That's all.
Sucks.
You thought it was the greatest thing you've ever seen?
No, I didn't say that. Those are your words. I said it was the most electric start, and that was an unbelievable hockey game.
For the record, 2002 gold medal game, Canada versus USA, is the greatest hockey game ever. That's my favorite hockey game ever. I think that's the greatest hockey game ever. For the record.
Yeah.
But having not had best on best hockey for over almost a decade,
Sammy,
having it built up.
The stars are lined up. When you haven't eaten in 9 years,
Yes.
your next meal will be the greatest meal you've ever had.
And the next meal
That's
was
what we saw
but
Saturday night.
It was Thanksgiving dinner after that. It was like, it wasn't like the first meal back was McDonald's. Those guys came out and cared and battled and fought. I mean, it was, which literally watching that Canada-USA jerseys, I sitting there with my 8-year-old son, the first time I've watched a full game with him since the Leafs lost. And talk about, you couldn't pry him away from that game. I said to you before here, I'm reading in the Dallas-Fort Worth paper about how hockey's back. Bill Simmons is tweeting about it. Nationally, internationally, this made waves.
Listen, I don't want to poo-poo anymore, but I have to.
Why?
I have to.
Why?
Because
Why are you doing this?
Who knows if it's back?
It's back.
Who is the guy in Dallas to say that it's back?
Tim Kalishaw.
Okay. Listen, we've got 40 of the best players in the league on the ice.
Yes.
Who cared?
Care.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're going to go back to the NHL, and we're going to have maybe 4 of them on the ice in a game if we're lucky. And the rest of them are not going to be as good as those guys are.
You have the
Or
breakdowns
some
you
of
want.
them won't even care as much as those guys did.
Yes.
For
So
sure.
can we enjoy
So-
the one where they were all out there caring and trying?
I'm just saying.
Why would I think about that when I just literally got to watch
Okay.
that and today
All
and
right.
Thursday?
But we are going to go back
Listen, yeah,
to,
we are.
to the game that we've played
That's future
before.
me's problem. I get to worry
Okay.
about Canada and USA
So-
on Thursday night, baby.
So it's just back for a
Rematch.
week.
Yes.
It's back for a week.
No,
It made inroads into
Okay.
people's attention.
All right.
again.
All right. Okay. Now, part of my issue is that I can't watch Saturday and just say, "Oh, it was great. It was great." I'm looking at it
yeah, we lost.
from a
sucked.
Canadian point of view, and I thought Saturday kind of sucked for Canada on many levels.
Okay.
The nation or the hockey
Okay.
team?
The hockey team.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because Canada's management team was not prepared for that start. Okay? And I'll just start by the roster. You have the Tkachuk brothers. We've talked since the inception of this tournament on what the Tkachuk brothers, the style of play, what they can do, what they're capable of doing. And then you guys go out there, management, and you bring us Seth Jarvis and Konechny at 5'10", and you leave 6'5" Tom Wilson home. You start that game Saturday night with Tom Wilson on the ice. That doesn't happen. Matthew Tkachuk is not the first fight. I guarantee you, Matthew Tkachuk is scared of Tom Wilson. He wouldn't have gone near him with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
But Kip,
Guaranteed.
we sitting here,
Okay.
none of us anticipated it to look like that.
No. Friday, I told you guys that I expect fireworks.
Yeah.
Fireworks. Okay. Who didn't expect it? Who didn't expect it?
You didn't expect it.
What do you think fireworks were?
3 weeks prior to that, you weren't sure if anyone would care at all about the event. So when they're picking the team in December,
But you got to cover yourself. That's if I'm sitting here as an analyst, but if I'm sitting there as management, I got to cover off the Tkachuks. I'm not doing it with Seth Jarvis on the team.
how nice was it?
Okay.
How nice was it having Sam Bennett in there?
It's not enough.
But thank God he was
Thank
there.
God he was, and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Okay. The lineup cannot go up against America Thursday night and look much different than they did Saturday night. I'm sorry, but unless the Americans roll over and Saturday night's a one-off
Thursday.
and those Thursday, unless they roll over and they go, oh God, we can't do that again, and then they want to go and try to Finland them up, then Canada's got a chance.
But I'll say this. I don't think once the game got started, the U.S. physically dominated Canada. And I will say...
What are you talking about? Okay.
You thought they did?
Did you see McAvoy drive McDavid?
The same way I saw Bennett
Did you
running
not
guys
see
over.
McAvoy drive Sidney Crosby's head into the ice early?
You want someone to go fight him?
I want something.
Yeah.
I want something. I'm not saying I think Ron McLean in the first intermission looked at the panel and said, so should someone have jumped McAvoy? No, that's not what you do, and that's not what you act. But you don't let him get away with that with nothing. Zero. Okay?
You know, to me, it's like we lose a game 2-1.
3-1. They shot one.
3, right. There's empty netter.
Yeah.
2-1, 3-1. And, you know, that to me is not the separating factor in the game.
We
didn't score enough.
It's me.
Yeah.
I thought after that hit, McDavid was not anywhere near as effective. I thought that hit canceled him after that.
There is part of me to what you're saying, Kyper, that I watched that American team against Canada on Saturday night, and you're going to have a chance on Thursday to potentially, come back. But there is part of me watching Saturday night being like, that's what we used to look like. That's what Canada used to look like.
100%.
Used to have the physical forwards, the guys that ran people through the boards. They were the ones initiating. And, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't one of the more heartbreaking outcomes I've had in a sporting event in a long time.
Listen, the hits at the end of the game are pretty close to dead even. I feel like Canada was very physical on the puck, and I thought the Canadian forwards, who typically play that way, leaned into it a little bit. But what I did like is when the U.S. pushed at the start of that game, so they talked about it in a group chat. They want to have these fights. Brandon Hagel, 180 pounds, says, okay, to Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah. I love that. I love Colton Parayko, 800 NHL games, one fight. He says, okay, to JT Miller. These guys weren't scared.
They weren't scared, and good on them. I loved it too.
Yeah.
But it put them on their heels. Despite Connor scoring the first goal, it put them on their heels. It caught them off guard, and I don't think they really, truly recovered after that.
I mean, it was a great start by Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, they were buzzing
to
start that hockey game.
I thought if there's anything that you're going to be upset about, it would be the second and third period. I thought the first period they were really good. Their one stinker goes through that can't go in, and you feel a lot different if it doesn't. But I think there is some element of truth to what you're talking about. Like, I hated seeing McAvoy drive Sid's face into the boards.
But you can't have that. I'm sorry. You can't have that.
It's not a best of 7. You don't have time to work through these.
McAvoy hammering McDavid. There was a play in the game
I
where...
I would rather turn it into a bloodbath and let them do that to Sidney Crosby. Okay?
But they don't have... I guess in that go back to your original point.
They don't have it.
I think to Borny's point earlier, it's hard to sit here and say, they have to take Tom Wilson. And listen, there was an argument to take Tom Wilson without this, but to be like, hey, we have to take a bunch of goons because what everybody was calling it a glorified...
Tom Wilson's not a goon.
No, but like, just for the...
He's one of the toughest guys in the league who can play.
I understand, Kyper, but everybody, including some of us, were considering this going to be an all-star break. We didn't know. I thought it was going to be good, and I don't think we all knew that there was going to be a hootenanny to start a USA-Canada game with 3 straight fights. No one saw that coming.
Even
to Borny's
if you
point.
didn't, you got to cover yourself off. That's your job as a management team.
There's no doubt that you're correct, that every person in Canada now, having watched some games, would have said Tom Wilson over Seth Jarvis.
Yeah, but that's every guy who's not paid to lead the country and pick players.
Yep,
okay?
fair enough.
Kyle Dubas, skill. He got his Seth Jarvis. He left Tom Wilson home. Seen that movie before?
Geez, you didn't cherry pick your buddy Doug Armstrong for that one, who's actually in charge.
Is that what happened? Do you know that for sure? Because if they know that
feels selective to me.
Listen, or consistent.
We all
for sure.
We all sat here and said that Seth Jarvis was questionable, and I don't know. Scheifele's got a bit of an edge. He runs around sometimes. I think he could elevate. He's a bigger guy. Tom Wilson, Zach Hyman. There's guys that you're looking back on it. But
definitely in retrospect, those names sound more appealing.
And I don't think it's retrospect. I think all of us sat here multiple times and said that we would like those guys on the team. And they went in a different direction. There's some surprising choices. But I guess you have your chance on Thursday to redeem it. But if we're being in the trust tree, can I be in the trust tree here, guys? It's just the 3 of us talking. No one else is listening?
Yeah.
The Thursday's a little bit, like, it's down the road. Sure, they can win, but it's just 1-1. They came into your building in Canada after you booed their anthem, and they started fights with you. They are running your captain into the end boards. They look like the bigger, stronger, faster team. And even if they win Thursday, I'm still going to have that game in the back of my head. That's always going to be there. That sucked.
Do we not?
Sorry.
Just
to try. No, like the result. having them win, having them out physical, having them to clog the middle of the ice, play what looked like our game against us, that sucked. And Thursday could be great, and they could win.
Do we expect anything different out of the U.S. Thursday night?
I don't think it's going to be fight night. Prove a point. You think it'll start with 3 fights in 9 seconds?
No, I'm not. I don't think so because the odds are still overwhelmingly against that start. But if you're the U.S. and you did it Saturday night and you won, and then you don't do it Thursday night on your home soil in Boston, and you lose, what's that say about you guys?
You might have one. I mean, to me, it would be superstition at that point because, as we said, Canada came out 1-0, more shots, more control of play. So I don't think it jump-started their team to play well. But if you want to say we did it and then we won, you might as well. It's like not changing your socks,
I think you put them on their heels.
So do you?
Who shut down? Who didn't play well?
I have
in the face of that?
I think there's some differences going into
Sid.
Sid didn't play great.
Sid didn't play well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Connor didn't. I didn't think Connor played well after he got after his goal and the hit. I didn't think he played well.
Really, really well.
No, Marner didn't play well. Marchand didn't play well. Everybody.
Both teams got shut down. It was a clinic of defensive hockey, and 2 bad goals go in.
Yeah, certainly when you can't break the inside, you miss Cale Makar.
So that's
Theodore, Pietrangelo. There's a few guys there that would have been nice to have.
Going into Thursday, if we're looking ahead to that, which we're going to have a lot of time to do it, but what gives you more confidence on the power rankings of things, there's no question number 1 is Cale Makar.
Mm-hmm.
Watching them play with Cale Makar today and watching the pop that he had and watching what he does for the game, it's a massive blow. Like, not having him in that game Saturday night sucks. So does that make you feel better having him in going up against them on Thursday?
No Quinn Hughes Saturday, so I don't know. It's the closest thing you could have to a wash.
For sure. But he was never involved to begin with, right?
Makar comes back in. How does it not give Canada a huge lift Thursday?
Yeah.
Right?
And then the lineup changes were made today where they shuffled the lines. And I thought, again, against Finland, and, Finland comes back, they make a game of it. The top 6 looks a lot better now to me than it did before. So we can get into that a little bit with Point going up, Marner going down. I thought it was a good adjustment for Cooper. Putting Point up there.
Yeah, I don't know. Your thoughts on that? I thought it worked.
Again, with so little room out there and some guys being a little frustrated, I think it's always good for a coach to not leave things too stale for too long.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it until it kind of clicks a little bit. And it'll be interesting to see him come out for this game against Finland and then what carries on ultimately to start Thursday night.
The thing that stood out, so you come off that U.S. game and you look at the time on ice for guys, and Nathan MacKinnon played like 18:30. Like, he plays 22:30 per game in the regular season. I think Hagel, I want to say, played 13 minutes, and I thought he was one of Canada's best forwards. Same with Point was 16 and a half, and he plays, he's so effective. I just think he pushes the D back a bit for McDavid, makes space, and they asked him about playing with McDavid. That was the one thing he said, just try to make space for him. And worked for them today. Mark Stone had a good game too. So the changes seem to have worked. I can't see them doing too much different. I can't imagine Jarvis coming in for Konechny.
No.
What
That's
did
probably
Konechny end up playing today?
That's a good question.
He was the least on the team, I believe, if I'm looking at it here.
I thought Marner was the least.
He's second least on the team for forwards. So I'm just pulling it up in front of me here quickly.
Just pulling it, yeah. I mean,
Jeopardy music. Time on ice. I mean, there was Marner played the second least, 12:46. Konechny played 12:11, but nobody was above 16:37. Reinhart led forwards in time with 16:37, so they're really rotating the lines.
Sorry, he led forwards with 16 something?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So no one played much.
Yeah, they were.
You get up in the game, you try to spread it around.
Yeah.
It's
And
now
Cale Makar ended up playing 23:57 tonight.
There was a bad flu bug going on in Montreal. Like, I think one of the hotels got hit really, really hard.
Is that right?
Someone told me that maybe there might have been someone from the league office that needed to be hospitalized, if I'm not mistaken, on a.
Well, I mean, how sick
flu.
Makar must have been feeling.
Must have been.
I mean, brutal.
Outside of any injury that we don't know about, that's the logical explanation for Makar missing Saturday night was he got hit hard by a flu bug.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be pretty sick to be held out of that game, especially with he knows how important he is. He's one of the best players in the world. That's where you want to play. So he had to be really sick. So yeah, you look at the ice times for today. It's just kind of, I don't think it tells you a lot just with the way the game was going. Marner does. Everyone's yelling at me on Twitter to be like, "Hey, Kyper, Marner played the second least, so here you go. I'm doing it." I mean, what do you want? He played the second least.
Like I said,
Again,
We got to talk about him.
There's not a ton of room out there,
There's not.
right?
There's not.
So
Konechny, yeah. So, I mean, no one played a ton of minutes tonight. Sid played 14:53.
Yeah.
Sam Bennett 14:11.
Yeah, I don't think it's been a great tournament for Marner so far, but there's still a game left here. But yeah, he shoots one in the net in the overtime and against Sweden, but I don't think it's been particularly great. But I also think, everybody wants to hammer him, and it's not just Leaf fans that are doing it now; it's a nation that's doing it, and I think it's confirmation bias for a lot of people.
I also think that Coop really does like him.
Yep.
And I think that big. I think he was second most time on ice against the Americans. I want to say he played 19 and a half minutes.
The first game. What was the game where he was just 20 seconds behind?
That was the first game.
The first game
Against Finland.
Against Finland.
Sorry, against Sweden.
Against Sweden.
Yeah, my bad.
And
I'm just looking up.
And then it's you brought this point up earlier in our show that he relies a lot on what and that's Cirelli and Hagel.
yeah, I think Hagel is a guy who's going to get a little bit more opportunity in the next game. Just in terms of the competitive factor, getting to the net, pushing back through guys, that's going to be fascinating. I am curious to see what Sweden-USA looks like tonight. It doesn't matter. Kachuk's not going to play.
Yeah.
I think Sweden is not dressing Matthias Ekholm and
Rasmus Anderson. Rasmus Anderson's
he's
in.
Yeah.
And
But another good. Arvidsson.
Arvidsson's
The
going
two
out,
Oilers.
and
See,
Leo Carlson's going in.
If Matthew Kachuk's hurting,
He's
I
up.
pull a reverse Thursday night. I go and challenge him right off the gate. First shift.
Yeah.
You want a turtle? You want to cower in front of your home soil here? Go ahead. You got to turn me down.
It's also, I think it's fascinating that he asked Brandon Hagel to go. I don't know who else would have been out there.
But he's not even a fighter.
That's what I mean.
Matthew Kachuk's not a fighter.
No,
he
but he's
he didn't
205
fight in
pounds.
junior.
He's fought.
He never fought in junior.
Okay. But he's fought in the NHL.
I mean, he's
fought,
definitely
yes.
fought more than Hagel
He's
has.
fought,
Yeah.
but he's not that guy.
No, he's certainly not. I wrote about it in my article, and I want to say it was JT Miller. JT Miller's 35 fights, and Parayko, who had one. So,
I thought
JT
Parayko,
JT Miller has 35 fights.
yeah, it's
Really?
7 as a
I
rookie.
thought he was an uppercut away from ending his night early.
Do you see he uppercut himself? Do
He
you see
punched
the
himself
video?
in the
He
face.
punched his own helmet off his head.
Yeah, I mean, Parayko didn't look like he was necessarily comfortable in that, but he
You know
flipped
what,
him off.
Sammy?
He was like, "Let's
You know
go."
what? That start shook up a lot of guys who weren't comfortable in that environment. They
Okay.
want a nicer, easier environment. I think that had to play out a little bit Saturday night too.
I love Parayko. I got to tell you, this tournament has changed me on a few guys. Josh Morrissey I love him.
Yeah.
He really skates well, and he
Josh
thinks
Morrissey
it-
outside of Makar is like
The
their most
standout.
important defenseman.
Yeah,
Agreed.
moves the puck like he's really, really good. Winnipeg Jets fans are just like, we know. Talk about him during the season.
It's Jets. It's time for Jets talk.
Morrissey, holy crap, do I like him?
Braden Point, no surprises there. He's got a presence when he's out there.
He really does. He really
Doesn't
does.
seem phased by the moment. One of those guys, just a grindy sort of guy. Sid tonight, +3. I think the only guy, him and McKinnon
Sid made the biggest play of the game as far as I'm concerned.
shutting her down there.
The hit in the neutral zone and then ending the game.
I think he's leading the tournament in points with a goal and 4 assists.
Last thing I want to bring up before we go to break, and we have all the principals involved in today's game. We can listen to some of the audio after the break. Thomas Harley plays on Saturday night, and I was impressed with a guy.
It's a big guy, eh?
Well, he wasn't on my radar. If there's anyone who built a team, I think you said this to me on Friday, but if there's anybody who built a team like in the media,
Yeah.
Harley was not in the conversation for anybody. And for having him step into that game, I got to tell you, weren't you guys a little nervous about the potential of him going in there?
Yeah, he was excellent.
He looked good. So I thought even today that if he was eligible to play, he would have been in the conversation.
Sanheim
for
played
me.
well today.
He did.
Tough spot now for
The
Canada.
whole thing kind of goofy about like
Weird.
Guys,
Well, let's be honest. They got caught with their pants down a bit. They didn't know what to do here. There was nothing written about this. They were like, he can't play.
Okay.
Now that he's played, he can play.
Why was there nothing written about it? Like, why are like something so obvious as sickness or health that could leave you
Just
short?
2 guys down. You only need to be 2 guys down before it's an emergency.
Like, so if like 3 guys get the flu or something, like you're cooked.
And I thought if you were going to bring someone, you were allowed to bring someone. I wonder if Mackenzie Weegar or someone was told, hey, maybe don't go to Cabo. Weegar had the Phil Kessel tweet that was like,
no, I think it was the opposite. They said,
Go to Cabo.
we don't want you to miss your vacation to come and just sit and do nothing.
just in case we don't need you. So they told him to go. But I bet you there's some guys now who are like, I'd have stayed home
Yeah.
to have played in that game.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who would like to play in that game, I would imagine.
But, that's not to take away from Harley.
But not to go and watch and cheerlead.
100%. No.
Yeah.
You'd rather be on a
And that's where you're
Harley
caught.
full marks for his showing, but tough change on the second goal by Harley, but otherwise, very good showing. All right.
Whew. That was contentious, boys. I
Wow.
love it.
31 minutes in.
Woo-hoo.
All
So
right.
we'll hear
we
from-
still got Edzo to go.
We'll hear from, I
Give me a
think,
chance.
here, I'm just see who we got here. We'll hear from Sid. We can hear from Point, Binnington, a whole bunch of different stuff after the break. So we'll come back, listen to a little bit of audio, talk a little bit more. Try not to yell at each other anymore. Maybe we will.
4 nations. Wow. That was a good 30 minutes right there.
Good luck. Good luck.
Plenty more still. Don't go away. Real Kyper and Bourne. Back after these words. Welcome back in to the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Top of the hour, we'll track down Eddie Olczyk. And I don't know, Sammy, are we going to get some sound coming out of Boston?
Yeah, apparently Jon Cooper's pretty close to talking here, so maybe we'll wait a couple seconds here. And the Finnish coach just finished speaking, so I'm sure they'll go to him after that. But is there anything else that we left on the bone after that first block?
Well, it depends if you want to do more U.S. or Finland. Finland, I thought the decision to not use UC Saros. I know Lankinen's having a great year. I know Saros got lit up by the U.S., but he's still UC Saros.
Mm-hmm.
Has he won a Vezina? At least he's been nominated several times.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, rather see you go down with your...
It's not a goaltender's tournament.
No.
Although, I don't know, is Binnington's numbers...
Yeah, they look.
Is he 900 save percent? No,
he was
not
below.
after that
He was-
minute and a half.
Yeah, he was below going into tonight, and then the
He was
end of the game. turfed him.
890.
Yeah.
It's kind of looks like his numbers in.
Yeah, it looks
St. Louis.
very similar to the
Yeah,
guys.
it's
Now, Hellebuck
It's
should
almost
get
like
some
that's
love.
who the guy he is.
Right. Hellebuck should get some love because I think he's been a 950 and a 963 or something in his 2 games, and there's been a lot of talk about that Colorado series last year, and can this guy buckle it down for them?
He also has an unbelievable defense in front of him, which is God love the Winnipeg Jets, but having a really good goalie with that decor in front of him, like I don't know,
They got to start thinking about really getting to him Thursday night.
Yeah.
getting in the crease.
Chris Pronger's been tweeting about the type of offense Canada needs, and it's crease hockey.
Well,
Okay.
that's Slavin.
You
It's
gotta-
just
He's
You got to bump him.
Unbelievable.
Like,
Yep.
okay, maybe take a penalty.
Mhm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you can't have him too comfortable.
he looked
not
very
that guy.
comfortable. He looked very comfortable on Saturday, except for one of the more electric hockey moments I've had in a long time. Was Connor McDavid breaking in off the
Oh.
right wing and going top corner. That sent the
Yeah.
bar into a bit of a tizzy, I would say.
yeah, no
You want to
kidding.
drive Sidney Crosby's head in the ice? I get a freebie on Connor
Yeah.
Hellebuck.
It's tough, right? Because next game.
I'm sorry, Sammy, but
Well,
that's the way you got to look at
Okay,
it
but
sometimes.
it's a 1-game final coming up.
mhm.
So do you want to spend your energy chasing around Charlie McAvoy?
You know,
Or
with that kind of start, okay, and I know that I could still beat Finland and meet you guys again.
Yeah.
I'm taking more skin off of you guys.
Mhm.
I am.
You're saying at the break you probably don't finish that game.
Listen, I'm a sore loser.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to admit it. But
I'm very
I-
gracious.
When I see the Tkachuk brothers start the game like that, the only thing I want to say is, okay, you guys got the way you wanted it started.
Mhm.
I'm going to get the way I want it finished.
Mhm.
And I would have rather it look like 1987 World Juniors, the punch
The punch up in somewhere.
Piastani?
That sounds right.
Piastani?
The punch up in somewhere is not what it's called, but the punch up somewhere.
I would almost like to have finished the game that way.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to go to Coop?
Than losing 3-1 Saturday night.
We
All
go to
right,
Jon
let's go to
Cooper.
Jon
What do you
Cooper.
think of your team's performance for the first 53 minutes, and what was the last 7 minutes like for the coach behind the bench?
I don't think. I thought we played extremely well tonight. The way we managed the puck, you get the best players in the world doing things they're probably not accustomed to, and all for the benefit of, our team winning hockey games. It was a 200-foot game. You've got McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, and all these guys dumping pucks and going and getting them, and it was a way we had to play to win this game, and we did it. And we can, whatever, you're going to dissect the game. Does it matter by how much you won? The bottom line, the goal was to play Thursday night. So, if anything, we got great video for 5-on-6 if we need it Thursday.
Left side, second row.
Yeah, John, you mentioned Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid. To be able to look down the bench and know that those guys can deliver in the most important moments, what kind of luxury is that?
Well, here's the thing. I talked to Connor. If you remember against US, he's basically one-on-one with Hellebuck, and he passes to Reinhardt. It gets broken up, and I was, talking to Connor, like, somebody's got to shoot it in the net. So why not you? And, to see what he did in the first goal of the game, he just, he kind of circled down, got it, and, Stoney gave him a great screen. But, meeting with those guys last night, it was, you're to win hockey games, you have to be so selfless. But it's weird how you have to tell the players at times to be selfish. And being selfish is like, you have to shoot in the net. Don't. And, well, McKenna did it twice, and Mac did it once, and Crosby was a little bit more distance, but it was good.
So you're saying you met with those three specifically? Or
Well, no. No. Yeah, don't read them. But you talk to your best players, and that's, a lot of the message was going into today's game.
Coach, how did it feel to have Cale Makar back out there and then knowing he'll be there for Thursday's game?
He's a star, and you can play half the game, and he's a one-man breakout. He just glides out there on the ice, but his reads are phenomenal, and it's a luxury. Let's be honest, and it was so glad to have him back.
Right side, first row.
Hey, John, you elevated Braden Point to that line with McDavid and Stone. How do you think that changed your game and your offense?
So it's hard in these tournaments because you don't know who's going to be able to play where. And, for Pointer, now he's got to play the wing, and that's not traditionally a spot he can play or he has played often. And so it's short-term trial and error. And you see which guys are going and which not, and then you kind of, get this feeling, okay, this should be able to work with this. But, I can't come into this tournament and sit here and say, hey, I'm going to put Braden Point with Connor McDavid. Like, there's a little process to this, and you actually have to watch him play and then see what he needs. And now that I'm behind the bench and I'm with these guys in practice, I got a pretty good feeling what they need. And I thought, Pointer'd be a good fit with him, and he was.
Left side, third row.
Coop, the betting markets have the Americans favored on Thursday, and I was wondering if you consider yourselves the underdogs.
I don't know. Listen, it's, betting has become quite an industry now. It's amazing that we sit here in a press conference talking about gambling. So I don't care. Who's favored, who's not. We come in here to win this, and it's. I don't know who's making. Are you making the lines? Yeah, so I don't know who's making the lines, but I'm really looking forward to the game. This is why we came here, and regardless if other people out there say, we're the underdogs, I mean, everybody in that room thinks we have a really good chance to win.
Left side standing.
How much, John, though, is getting another crack at the U.S. been a motivating factor for your players after Saturday night? How much do you think?
I can't sit here and say that is the case. Like, even if the U.S. wasn't in the final, we wouldn't be like, we don't want to be in. We want in this, and we came here for this purpose, and now it's win one more game. It just happens to be against the team that beat us after the fireworks that went off on Saturday night. So I think it should be a pretty good made-for-TV event.
Left side front row.
John, what you said off the top, having the best players chipping pucks in and dumping pucks and going after it, I'm wondering, what role does Sid have in selling that to the room, if any? And just how have you seen him interact with some of the guys who are representing Canada for the first time in an event like this? Are there any takeaways from how you've seen him interact with the group?
I have, and I've got a ton. And probably a lot more will come out after this tournament ends. But you see somebody from afar, and then you don't want to be disappointed when you meet them in person. It's like, you want to meet your hero, and you want them to be your hero. And to be honestly, like, a lot of times it doesn't happen. And how many times have you said, "Oh man, I wish," you look at them in a certain light. Well, the light that you look at Sidney Crosby is still the same light when you meet him, and he's a true inspiration to all the young guys in our locker room, and even older guys. He is, in our country, he walks on water, and he is as humble as they come, and you can see why he arguably is one of the most respected people in this game.
We'll take a couple more. Right side, back corner.
Coach, fireworks and intrigue aside, what do you guys have to do specifically better against the U.S. to have a more successful outcome?
Probably a lot of the things we did tonight, and I don't know who asked that question. So a lot of this game is about puck management, and sometimes it's not as fun to watch. There's a lot of hard work because much of the game you might be working without the puck, but when you put it in places and go get it back, you can lean on teams. And I think we did that. We didn't do that very well against the U.S. the first game, and made some adjustments in it tonight, and it worked in our favor. So anytime you do those and the guys see a little success, but we have to put stress on them. And I didn't think we did enough. And there was a lot of tribute to them too. They have a phenomenal team, and they defend and play hard. So I think you're going to see two really evenly matched teams go at it. Like I said, the city of Boston will be treated to something special, I think, Thursday night.
Left side, third row.
John, Sam Reinhart's certainly not the flashiest of players, but he does so many things well, whether it's scoring or defensively. Mm-hmm. You've been on the other bench plenty of times against him recently, but I just wanted to get your take on coaching him and what it's been like in terms of just watching the way he does things.
Yeah, so it's one of those guys with elite brains, and he may not be the most fleet of foot out there, but he gets there as fast as anybody else because he just knows where to go. And he thinks this game out. And what I really like about a lot of these players on this team, what did he have last year? 50, was it? Yeah. So he has damn near 60 goals. But he does not.
Hey.
There we go.
Hey, we're back.
Hi.
He starts waxing poetic
That's
about
the
Sam
longest
Reinhart.
we've ever had Jon Cooper, but he's positive John.
Yeah, that's right. Sam McKee hearing it for the team he's cheering for must have been a trip.
Oh, Christ. That guy loves the sound of his own voice. Listen.
It's not personal.
Okay.
It's a great quote.
You think he's that positive back in Tampa? I think if we polled the guys and said, He must be
Is
just
he a ray of sunshine?
every day.
Yeah. I'm sure not as much.
Do you think I was just thinking about him during that, and I love the Sidney Crosby walks on water in this country. It's a beautiful line.
Yeah, we
It's-
know that already.
It's a nice thing. But how is he gonna look like he's coaching this team? And he's got to go back to Tampa. I'm just looking at his fourth line today in Tampa. He's like, oh, Mitchell Chafee, Luke Glendening, and Dylan Duke. It's like that's where you get
Go
to
get
go
'em,
back.
boys.
It's like it's gonna be. You mentioned it a little bit coming off of this, and like when in your first segment though, it's gonna be really funny to go back into the regular season here
Listen,
and see coming down off.
We're
of this.
watching the best of the best.
Definitely.
All together, all on one ice, which is again fantastic.
enjoying it.
and
it's
loving every
great.
minute of it. Yes,
But then you're going to go back, and it's spread. It's spread thinly
Yeah.
over 32 teams.
yeah, it would be so good if there was just 10 less. What the league would look like.
It would look a lot closer to that
Yeah.
if we had 24 teams, even 24, and less games, guys. Less games.
I actually was thinking about the NFL, and it's a huge advantage to build up to one game and overreact to one game samples. Truly, like for the NHL, this is kind of cool that it's like one game. We're not finding the best teams necessarily that way, but
Not to get totally ahead of ourselves, but go look at the weekend that these guys are going to have to come off of this rush
Oh, yeah.
and then go back and play.
guys, who cares?
And,
Who cares?
oh, well, we care. We want to protect the game.
I mean, it is.
That's how a lot of these guys take the weekend off.
I think Connor McDavid flying to Philly for a 1 p.m. puck drop against the Flyers on Saturday might be.
They're nuts if they dress them. They're
They-
not. Well,
I don't know if they're nuts.
Yeah, they're nuts if they dress
There's
them.
a lot of teams scrambling right now to make the playoffs. There's about 6-8 teams that cannot have their player
What do
sit
you
out
think?
for rest.
What do you think Stan Bowman was watching? How was he watching that hockey game on Saturday night?
It's watching McDavid.
Like
get-
every general manager
slow.
around the
That's-
league watching that game. And listen, I didn't think once, and that's I think the true test is that I didn't think once in that game. I was like, oh God, please nobody get hurt. Oh my God, like it had enough stakes to me as a fan who they're trying to appease to, they're trying to grow to, that I didn't really think about, oh God, please Marner don't get hurt. Oh God, Matthews, please don't get hurt. I was just out for blood and wanted Canada to
But
win.
you know,
So I think that's good.
that conversation would only have been delayed.
What do you mean?
I mean that if Connor ended up with a separated shoulder or broken collarbone or put himself in a position to not be there to start maybe a playoff for whatever reason, then that conversation is like.
So do you think this tournament shouldn't have happened?
I think now that we've gone from nothing after 9 years to this type of tournament, or expect this type of intensity moving forward every other year, is a very big ask on your most important assets in
For
the
sure.
league.
It is.
Which
absolutely.
I think in turn, when we look back on this, we'll make it all the more special. And we'll make what happened on Saturday night and what we have to come on Thursday, we'll look back and be like, remember how much they tried to kill each other in the middle of a season for a tournament that was invented last season? Like, I think
this is going to be remembered as a very special event
Me
in
too.
hockey history.
Me too.
But again,
it's the first time back.
There's something really strange going on between Canada and the U.S. and that
It's the
thing is
perfect
just
timing.
it's magnified it by
hockey's
50 times.
Always been that, right?
Yeah.
Like when you had the
I know.
Soviets and you had like that extra layer is real, and it's
And you think, as crazy as this world is, you'll probably have another one in 2 years and another one in 2 years and another one.
But the
Is that
thing
the
is,
new norm now?
IIHF won't
let them murder.
It won't have that. Like the Olympics will be unbelievable, but it won't be three guys having a brawl.
We went into this game going, "Oh my God, this is set up to be awesome," and it exceeded.
But it's
that.
it's also
I just want to celebrate.
It's also the fact that they're playing under NHL rules,
Yes,
right?
Which is
And
great.
it's like,
Everything came together for it to be amazing. It was unbelievable.
well, we want fights
but the
now.
game on Sunday is
But we
going to be
want
bad.
fights.
So
we want
No,
fights.
I
now,
want.
right.
I
We're
wanted
gonna-
them to win too. So wasn't that?
They
Great.
haven't
We're
lost
pushing
yet.
for fights.
Well, they did.
Eddie Olczyk, after the break,
guys
don't go
suck. What a
away.
brutal
Just getting
block.
started. We are live as we go national hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, as we close out Four Nations with one more game tonight, that would involve the USA and Sweden, Sportsnet, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Well, you wanted an all-star game. You might get it.
Before-
You might get it tonight.
That's a great point.
Before Thursday night's matchup, rematch, heavyweights.
Oh, they don't play a
Canada
third-place game?
in the U.S.
They don't play a third.
So, in the first hour, I didn't crap all over Saturday night.
You
I
did.
just told you
You
that
unequivocally did.
I didn't think it was the greatest game that I've ever seen.
And we agree with
and
you there.
I can't get past the fact that I thought the USA kind of rubbed their noses in crap Saturday night.
Yeah, listen,
And I didn't like it.
The angle as a Canadian of like, I didn't like losing that game.
Yes,
I didn't like.
That's
yeah.
my take.
I'm
I
aware of what your
hated-
take is.
I
We don't need
hated
you
that.
anymore on
I
that.
hated that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As a Canadian, that stunk. It stunk that we didn't pull out the victory. The tournament is to win the tournament.
Yeah.
We got a game on Thursday here. We can't parachute in Tom Wilson, who would have scored a hat trick, beat up
Not
the coach of the other
parachuting.
team. I'm saying it was an unbelievable spectacle. And
Yes, it was
fans
good.
loved it. And
was
it's the
good.
talk of
But
the
they-
sports world.
No but to that. That's it. That's where it ends. That
Okay.
is true. Everything he just said
Yeah,
there
I
is
mean,
100% accurate.
it seems to be that everybody wants to like sell the game so badly. Like it's like, I get it. You want to sell the game. You want,
And that's what they
hockey
did.
still takes a big back seat to everything.
The NBA,
baseball.
The NBA just had their premier All-Star weekend.
They got
NBA.
killed,
They got
crushed.
killed by the NHL. That is a huge moment for hockey.
Was there any fans in their stadium?
I
I
don't
saw
know.
empty seats.
They got events where guys are trying to not shoot the ball in the hoop so they can finish faster.
But I lived in the era where Sports Illustrated's famous cover was "Why the NHL is hot, why the NBA is not." Remember that one?
I don't remember magazines.
That was off of our
too young.
It's
Stanley.
a very famous.
I know.
cover.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
It's off of
I
our Stanley Cup in 1994.
Yeah.
And we kind of blew that one.
Certainly did. So nice to make inroads the other direction because it's been going the wrong way for a long time. Guys are making $60 million per season in the NBA.
Yeah, it peaked with 5.2 million viewers in America. Like that's
That's huge numbers,
That's
especially when
big,
you're
man.
talking
and
about
that's on ESPN too. who
500,000 people.
we
And
want
now-
involved.
And now you go into Thursday night where everybody's been talking about it. You're telling your buddy that's maybe not a fan, like that. You get, and then it's called growth. I think.
It would be tough to watch your Canadian team struggle and
Oh my
lose,
God.
lose that game.
Oh my
'cause
God,
Now the
that's-
eyeballs are there.
The nightmare is losing twice to them, where it's like just lose to Finland instead. Anyways,
We are tracking down Eddie Olczyk. Call him Ed.
Do not call him in.
Oh my God, I get in big trouble
Yes.
every once in a while. All right, Eddie Olczyk, we built you up. TNT analyst in Boston. How are you, buddy? You catching your breath?
Yeah, we're trying. Yeah, we got I got a few hours before this next game, and obviously, unfortunately, it doesn't mean anything. So, but it was a fun game. The last 6-7 minutes, just about about 45 minutes ago. So it's nice to be with you guys.
In a perfect world, Edzo, if they could go back, do you think they would have given tonight's game more of a meaning if you would have set up a semifinal to meet the team that deserved the bye, like in this case the U.S., or is that too much?
I think with 4 teams, it's probably a tad much. I mean, I guess it's always up for debate. But look, up until this point, it's been unbelievable theater. Obviously, the big game between Canada and U.S. a couple of nights ago in Montreal. I don't think there's a perfect scenario. I don't think there's a perfect scenario anywhere. But when you have 4 teams, I think you gotta let it be. And so, yeah, I think I'm good. I'm good with it. And at least we had one game on this so-called final day, the prelims, that meant something, right? Because there was a scenario where maybe both games could have not meant anything, right? So that would have probably been even worse. But it is what it is, and the U.S. did what they did their job by getting 2 max points and in those 2 games, get the max points in both of those, and they assured themselves a spot before we even got to Monday.
And so, how is the vibe different between Montreal and Boston so far?
Well, I was not, Borny, I was not in Montreal at all. So, I mean, I was able to watch it on TV, but it's been in Boston. It's been very noticeable, a lot of publicity, very excited, obviously, coming off the big win on Saturday against Team Canada. So, tonight it'll probably be an exhibition, so to speak. I mean, it's just the game doesn't mean anything for either country, and I'm sure for Team USA it's just get a good sweat, work on a few things, make sure you get nobody banged up and go. But the vibe in the building today was very good. I don't know how it came across on television, but it was pretty loud in there this afternoon, and especially when the game got to 4-3, it was at a different level. And look, there were a lot of people that left, obviously, with 5 minutes left to go. But it was the vibe has been good. It's a great building, and for the broadcast, it's a great broadcast location, as you guys both know. It's a great building. So I'm sure come Thursday night, when it's for all the marbles, it'll be great theater, I'm sure.
You're watching and listening to Eddie Olczyk, hockey analyst, TNT in Boston, calling both games. Eddie, I got to ask you about Saturday night and that start. And it's been the talk of the tournament. It's been the talk of sport right now. And just where we are with that type of look now moving forward, is it now based on what we saw Saturday night, the final nail in the coffin, where we don't have to apologize anymore for fighting in our game? Or is this just one of those perfect storms where the stars aligned?
Well, are you asking me, are we gonna get rid of fighting?
Maybe we should promote it more. It seems like in America they loved it.
Yeah, I would say it is that the attention that it certainly got was off the charts, and I think the world that we're living in right now, with everything going on both on and off the ice in the real world, added to the intrigue of Canada versus U.S. Look, I'm an alum of USA Hockey. I was lucky enough to play in the 84 Olympics. I played in the 84, 87, and 91 Canada Cups for Team USA. I have always looked, and I think I could speak for most American-born players, is that our greatest rival has always been Canada. It always has been. I don't think that has been the case the other way around. I think it's always been the Russians for Team Canada. Now, in order to have a rivalry, you got to have some wins on both sides, right? Now, I understand that Canada has had the upper hand on our country, for many, many years. And then, the tide turned in 96. It's been a little dormant here for Team USA here in the last little while, but, we haven't had Olympics, consistently with NHL players. So I think what I'm getting at is I think the way that Team USA looks at it is that, the respect and the understanding of Canada being, the top hockey country, is that, our neighbors and bragging rights and friends and all that kind of stuff. I think it just goes to another level for Team USA. Now, over the years, USA Hockey has closed the gap to Canada. We've seen it at the World Juniors. But at the highest level, it's been a battle. So I just think in the climate that we've been in, and then the other night, and then obviously it came out with the way that the Tkachuks and JT Miller had kind of talked about trying to, get the game level and not allow the crowd and Team Canada to get a jump, is that they decided that they were going to take matters in their own hand. And Look at it's emotional. I wasn't surprised by it. I don't think you guys were surprised by, kind of how quick it came. But then what happened right after with his brother, and then JT Miller and Colton Parayko. So for me, long-winded, as I just think that the emotion and obviously a lot has been talked about with the anthems going on and the booing of the American national anthem. I just think that it came to a pitch where it was the perfect storm, is what you said earlier, Kyper, and you got something that I would believe. And look at, and I believe, I thought about this, and I haven't said this publicly, but I would say is that when I look at least for USA Hockey, I would say is that game on Saturday night, I would argue, and in my opinion, is the second biggest. You want to throw the word greatest in there? That game behind the Miracle on Ice in 1980 was the second biggest and greatest game for USA Hockey in the history of the game.
Bigger than their World Cup in the 90s, late 90s?
I believe so. In 96, yes, I believe so. I do. Just like with what I was saying, the political climate, what was going on prior, and
buying our country, right?
What's that?
You guys buying our country, or turning us into a state.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that. I'm just a citizen down here.
Don't put me in the fire.
Hey, you're on a Canadian show, my friend. Be careful.
Look at you guys. I spent how many years? I spent 8 years in Canada, and my two oldest boys were born at Scarborough Centenary when I played for the Leafs. I mean, look, I'm not. This is not anything other than it's just I believe, and I think some of the players alluded to it, the climate and everything that's been going on. But I really believe, though, is that moment and watching as a fan and as an alum, I looked at that and was like, and it wasn't even, it was a preliminary round game. But I think if you put a note in a bottle and drop it in Lake Ontario or in Lake Michigan, and somebody picks it up 40 or 50 years from now, I guarantee you that game will be talked about maybe almost as much as the Miracle on Ice, because of the world that we live in when it comes to social media and everything else, right? Because everybody heard about it, everybody's talking about it, everybody will continue to talk about it. That's why I think it will go down in history. For USA Hockey, I can't speak obviously for Canada, but for me, there is no doubt that you cannot talk now. You cannot talk Miracle on Ice only anymore. I think that you have to add in that game because of the magnitude both on and off the ice.
I think we have to let Edzo go. Do we not? You gotta.
Yeah, I got 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Quick follow up. Just can the Tkachuk brothers become national names in the U.S. based off of this week, basically?
Well, I think if they want to start a podcast, I think they probably could go head to head with the Kelsey brothers, right?
Yeah, I mean they got some eyeballs right now. They got the juice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure their agents or their agent is probably taking phone calls, and you got commercials, you got all kinds of stuff. But I mean, who wouldn't want either one of those guys on your team, right? I mean, they're throwbacks, right? Kyper, Boney, right? They
Any era. I love them. I just hate them on the other side. That's all.
Fair.
Hey, one more, Edzo.
That's okay.
One more for you. Can they do that again Thursday? Can the Tkachuk brothers pull something off that looks similar to that? I'm not saying they need 3 fights, but do they need another start to establish what they started Saturday night?
Well, you can start a lot of different ways. It doesn't have to be by dropping the gloves and squaring off. I mean, I think you can challenge in a lot of different ways, but look, I expect that game to be, I should say I'm hoping, but I'm expecting it to be a great game that we'll all talk about for a long, long time. And look, if somebody drops the gloves, they drop the gloves. But I mean, do I think it's going to start off the same way as it did the other night? I mean, I don't think so, but maybe. I couldn't tell you that, but I would highly doubt it.
Eddie, my love for you has no borders.
Okay, but let me just get this out there. I want to know, did you guys first ask Craig Simpson to do this? Just answer the question.
I didn't.
We don't produce a show.
I don't
Don't look
produce.
at us.
Oh, now you're.
That was like the Key and Peele sketch that cut to you.
Is that true? Because you know what I said? I said, hey, Simmer. How's the lighting over here? Because I'm jumping on with Kyper and Bourne. And he goes, oh, well, they asked me to do the show, but I said, I can't. I'm too busy for it.
That's bad producing right there.
Okay.
Really
All
bad
right.
producing. We love you, bud.
Love you too. pal.
Enjoy the game Thursday and tonight as well as you call USA and Sweden. Eddie Olczyk, TNT.
Thanks, Enzo.
Magic television, baby.
I mean, that's kind of how this works.
Quite the statement from him, eh?
That is, yeah.
But it's.
I get it.
I get it too. I get it. It's like
That's
come
memorable.
on. Booing of the anthem, all of it.
3 fights before playing any hockey, like that's a clear statement. That's memorable.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm about to. That's what breaks my heart, is what he just said, that we gave them that.
Yes.
That's why, even when they win, if they win on Thursday, which will be a fantastic moment for us, we gave them that, regardless of what happens Thursday.
Yes.
So that's why I'm. Anyway.
But the argument is not about was it good for Canada.
Oh,
That's not the point I've been making.
Oh, it's really, really good for the game. And Kachuk brothers, they're marketable guys. Like every clip, which, I mean, I can't watch the clips because I would never dream of it, but I've been sent the clips of them in the locker room a million times, all the stuff. They have personality. They have swag. They are marketable guys dominating for America.
I don't know when people say that it's good for the game. I don't know if they just throw it out there like it's just nobody understands what that really like. Let's just dive a little bit into what that means to you.
5.2 million people watching it good for the game, Kyper?
Forget that.
No, that's literally what it is. Is it not?
It's great.
It's really good.
Does that mean that ESPN's now going to get 5 million people for every NHL game? The answer is no. So it brings me back to what your interpretation is of what is good for the game. Tell me what is good for the game. You're telling me now that we need a fight or two before every game? Is that what we need to be good for the game? Do we need the emotion that they brought us Saturday night into the game? What does it mean to you? The skill level? We need this. Like what?
So your point then is that it's negligible. It doesn't move the needle.
I don't know if it moves the needle. All I'm saying is we're not getting that past this week.
Yeah, but we are. But we're getting it in 2 years, and then 2 years after that, and you're going to have that to look forward to.
But that's not the game. That's the Olympics.
What you want?
I want people to be very careful when they say that's good for the game because they don't know what that means.
I'm going to tell you what it means.
Thank you. I'm asking you.
What it means is that kids have an anchor moment, or fans have an anchor moment to say, that's the moment I became a hockey fan. That's the moment it had me.
Yeah.
That's why I've stuck with it for 20 years.
We had that in 1980, and we had it in 1997.
And how long has it been? You didn't name one. It started with a 2. It's been a long time since this generation has had that moment. This generation of American fans. The last time they had it was 96.
I'm telling you, we had it. And then up until 2 months ago, we're talking about how crappy the ratings have been and nobody's interested.
This is the start for some people of saying, I loved that. I'm in. I'm going to watch. Hockey's cool.
Yeah.
We do not agree.
For that to continue, though, do you just wait for the internationals to get your juice, or are we going to actually send them back to the NHL and try to replicate?
No,
not the
You're
talent.
never going to replicate that.
No, you're never going to replicate it. But
then it's not really that great for the game.
Buddy, it's not like they're going to watch the ECHL. The NHL is still a good product.
It is a good product.
Big games are still fun and still good, and the playoffs are coming up, and they have those.
And some of them,
the playoffs have the emotion of that game. There's fights in the play. There's hitting. There's intensity.
And there's many nights when it's not.
Well,
and my whole point is, for this to be really true for the game, hey, start showing me more passion to some of these guys that aren't involved in the game this week. Start showing more of that. I want to see more of that. You're charging $200-$300 a ticket. There's some nights I'm watching the game and I'm going, that's unwatchable.
I actually think this is part of what's leading a little bit to the NBA's rating struggle is guys make so much. How do you get up for games
I don't
all
know.
the time?
That's the big picture for me, anyways. Is that we've pushed for the last 5 or 10 years rivalries, and it's like, I'm not saying that you need to create Saturday night, but we need more passion in our rivalries. We need more guys to step up that get out of their comfort zone. That to me is good for the game.
For sure.
That we see more emotion out of, and maybe it's not the player's fault. Maybe it's the league's fault. Too many games, too much travel, too much whatever, squeezing blood out of a stone some nights. But to me, to try to create this to be better for our game, like really understand what that means. How can we truly make this better for our game?
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why I think it's so hard. And part of it is there's so many teams and so little team loyalty on both sides now, where it's like guys are switching teams, cut, traded constantly. There's 32 teams. It's tough to follow them all. It is more watered down. There is so many games. I do think that it's a challenge. We talk about my dad's Islanders teams for all those years that had the same core going through it over and over again.
People loved them. They bought their jerseys. They didn't have to change the nameplate on it a year later.
And people knew, and my dad versus Mike Bossy, they didn't necessarily know what each other made. There's no salary cap. You were allowed to like Bob Bourne because he killed penalties and was fast and whatever. And instead of saying, I like this player because of the value I get on the contract or whatever. So yeah, we have some challenges there, but all pro sports do. Every sport is running up against this.
Ours slower than others. Others had way more growth since mid to late 90s.
But isn't it healthy to even be having these conversations
It
in
is.
the wake of something that was like, holy,
it's why I'm bringing it up.
The needle.
It's why I bring it up. It's why I want it to be good for the game. I want it to grow our game. I want 5 million people in the States watching a game. All of it. But let's just not throw it out there as a catchphrase. Let's truly understand what it means.
Have a problem with the phrase,
but I don't think any of us ever say good for the game. That's not really in our vernacular. I think we would save that for when it's something that actually is good. And what happened Saturday night and having, non-hockey watching people that I follow
Your mom texted you during that game? Mine did.
Listen,
people
my
were
mom
into that.
she texts me during every Leaf, she texts me every sporting event that has relevance, but it's not a great, but I see people from Barstool all over it, people from ESPN all over it, people from people who don't care about hockey watching that and having the Americans do that. I know you don't like it, Kyper, but it was good for the game, buddy. It was good for the game.
Can you keep them now?
That's a great question.
Well,
can you keep them?
I think
engaged.
Here's what I will say, and what I would be worried about if I'm talking from the Kyper perspective, is that you're going back in, and we've been talking about Saturday night's game for some reason. We've mentioned that 3 times today. But the bridging the gap from what the rest of the regular season is going to look like to the playoffs is going to be hard to keep people's attention in terms of what that was. But what the start of the Stanley Cup playoff looks like is similar to that. The first round of the
game 1 of round 1 is amazing.
It's an absolute war every time. It's just guys are hammering each other. It's a really, really good product.
Yeah.
If I'm going to your side,
tell that to the Leaf fans who say, I don't care what happens in 82 games.
But the Leafs, guess what? I mean, we're not talking about the Leafs. I don't think anybody's worried about the Leaf fans watching. They're going to watch.
I think there's a lot of people that wait for the first round.
For sure. But my point is that there may be a bit of downtime after this is over and there's a little bit of a monotony. But once the playoffs start, I can't help but think people that watch that game on Saturday will be more likely to watch a game on Saturday night in April because of what they saw on Saturday.
Good.
I really do.
I just don't want them disappointed.
It grew the game, baby. It grew the game.
It grew the game.
It grew the game.
Didn't shrink the game.
It didn't shrink the game. Game time?
Game time. What do you got?
I don't know. Nothing. It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So here's what we'll look at for tonight. If this game tonight is a tough one, I'm not sure how you would handicap.
Willie 2 goals.
Listen, I don't want to make any jokes, but this has a Willie hat trick written all over it.
Elias Pettersson about to light it up.
USA is still a heavy favorite, minus 210 in this game. I'd be surprised if Kachuk's playing. I think that's already announced that he's not playing.
He said no.
Sweden is plus 175. Anytime goal for your boy, William Nylander, is plus 240 tonight, Borny. So
Wonder if are they starting Hellebuck? Do we know?
I'm not sure on that one. I would imagine that they would consider it, but you know, give him a rest. Take a little bit too long off.
Swayman. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, give him a game.
Yeah,
Meaningless game.
Yeah, maybe.
You're going to have no heart
What if he
to
pitches
not
a
play.
shutout and then you're like,
No, he's not.
Still got to go back.
So, yeah, William Nylander, anytime goal, plus 240. And then if you look ahead to Saturday night, like what was mentioned.
Thursday night?
What'd I say?
Saturday night.
Thinking about Saturday night. It lives
It's okay.
free in my head. Yeah, we just had Eddie Olczyk say it was the greatest moment in American. Anyway,
Second.
He called me out for asking Simmer first. I'm rattled.
You're on tilt.
But Canada, according to Bet365, is indeed a underdog going into Thursday night.
Yes,
Plus
baby.
105 on the money line. America minus 125.
Plus 105.
Plus-
Get it while it's hot. I bet you it's not there.
Plus money.
I bet you it's not plus money come puck
Did
drop.
Cooper call out gambling a little bit there?
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah.
Let's not
the
talk about
jumping
that
off,
right now.
It was the jumping off point for a good conversation.
But we always had that conversation
Yeah.
in like
Who's the
100
underdog?
years.
Who's the favorite?
Exactly.
That's
And
it.
oh, you know what? They're supposed to win.
So,
And I love the idea that when you're the underdog and the game is tied, you feel like you're doing good, right? That's the idea. Is that there's no when you're the favorite and you're tied, you're like, God, we're supposed to be pulling away. It changes the pressure.
he also did a really great job of being like, they're a fantastic team. I know I've gone up against him enough in the playoffs. I know the
does
Cooper
like
playbook, and that was a classic Cooper playbook move there.
What a hockey!
There.
It's impossible
How
to
could
get
any-
a sniff against
How could
this
anyone
team.
beat them?
They're so good.
So Canada underdog plus 105. I don't know how many more times you're going to have a team that has Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, and Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar on it. That's going to be an underdog in a hockey game. So maybe something to look at. Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Plus 18 plus Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right. Sam Reinhart, 3 assists today.
God, it's been a contentious show today.
No, it's good.
No, this is
Good.
We're moving it forward. We're having real discussions.
We want the game to grow.
We all are on the same
And we want
team.
Canada to win.
Badly.
Also that part, very much.
You want to take a break? Yeah. Catch our breath?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna track down Luke. Luke Fox is in Boston. He said he'd hop on with us for a couple minutes.
Jukebox.
So we'll hop on, see what he had to say,
All
and then play a little Sid Crosby audio too.
Sportsnet.ca's Luke Fox after the break when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne show. What do you got for us?
Quickly, I just got a DM from a longtime listener, my boy Jeremy from Meaford. He said he's in New Zealand right now, and the start of the Canada-USA game made the evening news in New Zealand. Growing the game, baby. I told you it's growing.
Now stay tuned for Columbus, San Jose.
Love that.
Anyways, go ahead and get Luke.
Do they even have ice in their drinks? Yeah. That's what I want to know.
I don't know, but it was on the news.
All right. From New Zealand to Boston, Mass. Luke Fox from Sportsnet.ca joins us. I don't know where you are. By the Zamboni?
Yeah, right by the Zamboni door. You do know where I am.
I do.
Amazing.
I know my rinks.
Yeah.
Is it busy there still? Or did everybody kind of disappear on you?
No, it's busy. Well, the press conferences take so long that it's totally busy down where the media are because we still got stories to file and Real Kyper and Bourne to talk to and all sorts of things. So no, it's very busy.
So just take us through the last 3 minutes when, much like a Toronto-Boston playoff series, where you've got your story all completed and you just press the send button. About 4 minutes left in the period, and then it's 4-3, and you got to fix your story. Is that what happened?
It was almost there. I mean, it felt a little tense. That's the word Braden Point used. Connor McDavid used the word ugly. I think I like Connor's phrasing a little bit better. And you kind of wonder about Jordan Binnington, maybe about the team's confidence and just not, put it away, get a shutout for your goalie, like go into the final with a bit more confidence. So, yeah, it was a little rocky, but they got the result they needed. They had the destiny in their hands. They had to finish it in regulation, and they got the job done. I just think you're too committed to Jordan Binnington at this point to even contemplate a change. It would have been a full 2 weeks for starts if they happen to decide Aiden Hill goes in the final. So this is your goalie. You got to play better in front of him, and you need some offense. And guys like Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon delivered that. And I do kind of like Sidney Crosby putting the cherry on top. It's like, okay, enough of this. Let me bury the empty netter, make a big hit in the neutral zone.
Luke, we all had our preconceived notions of what the tournament may be and how Canada would look in this event. How are they different maybe from what you expected, or are they kind of the team you thought they were going to be?
Well, they look more like the team they could be when Cale Makar is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's the biggest X factor heading into the final is the fact that Makar didn't play in that first game against the U.S. And maybe you just say, hey, what's fair on one side is fair on the other, because those guys are missing Quinn Hughes. But he was the most used skater on Jon Cooper's bench in the Sweden win, and same again today in the win over Finland. And I think he's just such a phenomenal difference maker, and he slots all the guys below him a little bit better. I mean, there's no Pietrangelo. There's no Shea Theodore. They had to call Thomas Harley, who had a plane ticket booked for Cabo. Like they're kind of leaning on their defensive depth that's taken a hit. You subtract Makar, and things get scary. So the biggest encouragement, I think, for Canada to play to its identity is the fact that Makar is healthy again. He's going to be in that U.S. game. I think it's great that McKinnon and McDavid are taking control of their own lines. I really didn't like McDavid with Reinhart and Marner. I think Marner wants the puck on his stick and wants to control the pace of play of his line, and McDavid's the same way. Having them together, once Cooper saw it, he didn't like it. I think a lot of us didn't like it. So separating McDavid from Marner, I think, was really smart. And now the top six has a little bit of chemistry going. I feel like they're finding their identity a little bit. Yeah, it was maybe a little bit easy because Finland's defense is so depleted, but it gets those guys feeling good. They have time to find out some better line combinations now.
In the past, when we came to international hockey, with Canada especially, we've seen stars come from every team only to pick up their roles rather quickly here throughout many tournaments. Do you feel that's the case now going into Thursday night in a championship game? Because you mentioned Marner's now, with Cirelli and Hagel, and I think other than Konechny, he had the least amount of ice time for forwards. So do you think Marner and everyone else kind of know where their place is or their role, or can we still see changes coming either before Thursday or during Thursday's championship game?
For sure we can see changes during Thursday if things start to go south. But I think Cooper was talking after the game about how you write this stuff on bar napkins and you have these great ideas of who you think will work together, but until you actually see it with your own eyes, see how it plays out, and talk to them, what do you need in terms of wingers to accelerate your game, it doesn't really click. And there's not much time to figure it out. But I think they're getting there. And I think this is the lineup he went with today is probably what he'll start with. As for Marner, I think they only had to kill one penalty, I think, but I thought he was really good on the PK. So maybe that's his role. He's not a top six guy on this team when it's 5-on-5. He had a wonderful moment. It came at 3-on-3, and you felt happy for him. Like he's going to remember that forever. Taking a unbelievable drop pass from Sidney Crosby and scoring the winner. That's still an important goal in the tournament. But 5-on-5, I think he's become more of a checking guy and a PK guy.
Looking forward to Thursday night, because that's really all we're going to talk about from now till then. Do you have any expectation that the game could start similarly, or do you think that was a, they're going to throw down to start this thing off and now it's time to play hockey?
I'm on the fence. Cale Makar just said that he thinks it's possible to happen again. He's like, we're in a different country, different city. The tone will want to be set right away. I think it would be. I mean, I don't see 3 fights in 9 seconds. That feels like, something we're never going to see again. But I do think it's going to be an angry game. I don't think it's like, oh, let's worry about not taking penalties. I think there's going to be some angry tone setting right from the beginning. You think Matthew Tkachuk, a little bit banged up. He will have had a bunch of days rest. He's not supposed to play tonight, so he should be fired up again. It'll be a fierce game. And I think here's another guy that started off as a healthy scratch and you can't take out now, and that's Sam Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be in that game too. And the line of Marchand, Konechny, Bennett, that is like an all jerk line, basically. I mean, lovely guys off the ice. Yeah. They're great interviews, all of them, but I would hate to play hockey against that line.
You're listening to Luke Fox from Sportsnet.ca. So as far as the political temperatures going from Montreal to Boston, I didn't really pick up too much off the anthem today, but was there a feel that, it's kind of followed it down south of the border, or what was your overall assessment of the atmosphere in the TD Garden?
Yeah, I heard maybe a couple scattered boos, but the cheers when O Canada finished were much louder than that. Definitely not the same feeling. Now, we're talking about 1 p.m., and I know it's a holiday down here, President's Day, and Bostonians like to drink, but it's hard to get too drunk for a 1 p.m. Canada-Finland puck drop. I expect a totally different atmosphere Thursday night. So when I was down here covering Leafs Bruins last year, and we're talking about 2 club teams, there were really loud USA chants, and that's with Austin Matthews as one of the opposing players. So I would not be surprised if the patriotism is a little bit stronger when Canada and U.S. go head-to-head here.
Great stuff, Luke. Thanks for making time for us. We know you're really busy, and we sure appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, anything for you, Nick. Okay.
Thanks, Luke.
I think Luke gave me a parting shot there. I don't mind, though. I dish it out. I can take it.
At least he wasn't like, oh, yeah, I heard you ask Josh Cloak first.
Yeah, that's right. I'm smarter than that, Sammy.
No, that's good stuff, though. Interesting that Makar mentioned he could see it happening.
I could see it happening. In fact,
I mean,
if it doesn't happen, then what was the point of Saturday? And Eddie nailed it. And I'm not saying that it needs to be 3 fights in 9 seconds. Mm-hmm. It could be 3 and 5. But it could also mean, scrums.
What about 0?
It all depends. It's who's dictating, who's forcing, right? And there's proactive and there's reactive. Mm-hmm. And Saturday night, USA, all to their admission on the podium, we planned it. We chatted prior to that. This was our game plan. Come out. We were proactive. Mm-hmm. Canada through Hagel, right? And Bennett and
Hagel's
were reactive, and did a hell of a job, but still reactive.
Hagel's interview at intermission was awesome. He said, he asked me to go. I said, I'm not backing down from that guy. And I think after the game, he said, I think he was surprised with what he got from me too. It's like, I love that. Out of way, Hagel.
I mean,
dig in.
Yeah, it's pretty easy guy to pick a fight with.
Is that Hagel?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for Hagel for standing.
Absolutely.
Who's willing Thursday night to go right back into that rabbit hole?
Bennett. That's it.
Okay. 1.
Konechny.
But he doesn't fight, though.
I'm not sure.
He'd throw... Somebody challenges him.
A lot of these guys likely would.
I don't think there's many guys on the team that aren't getting the mittens off.
I'd love to see him be in a position like Hagel where it's like, I'm game.
Mm-hmm.
Would Marchand do it?
Not really a fighter.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, he's not a fighter. He's a guy that'll slew foot you.
Or punch you in the face.
Or lick you.
Yeah.
We got Sid.
Yeah, you guys want to listen to what Sidney Crosby had to say after the game?
Let's listen to some Sid, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
First 15 minutes tonight.
That was good. We got off to a great start. Some big goals early, and we were playing on our toes. And to get those, I think was huge. We played pretty solid throughout. Probably guilty of sitting back a little bit there.
We can't get audio.
And, they capitalized, but give them credit. They
can we dump out of this or get some audio?
No audio.
Get the lead.
What about how Nate and Connor kind of right from the get-go, your big guys kind of carried it?
That's huge. I mean, they set the tone right away. That's what you need. Big plays from big-time players, and they stepped up just to get us the lead, to get a start like that, get our feet under us. But like I said, that's a tough team to get to the net. They make you work for every inch, and the lead was important.
What's your thoughts of playing U.S. again on Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you look at the last game and the intensity, and both teams got to know each other pretty well, pretty quickly. It'll be a great challenge.
Sid, you mentioned after the U.S. game some of the turnovers you had, and some that you kind of lamented that. Was that on your mind coming into this game in terms of just your mindset and your?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we got some great skill, great talent. Guys who are committed to play both sides of the puck, and we got to give ourselves a chance. Just by the decisions we make and being in the right position, and we did a better job of that today. And it's not something that's going to sacrifice our offense. I think we're still going to get our chances, but I think we did a good job of being aware of that. We got some dangerous guys, and we did a pretty good job of making sure that we didn't give them a ton of looks.
Sid, what kind of impact was having Makar back today?
Obviously huge. I mean, he plays all situations, and he's so good back there. So great to see him back out there on the ice, and obviously gave us a big boost.
So talking about Connor and Nate, I mean, it's their first time representing Canada in an event like this. Obviously, your first time was in Vancouver. As that tournament went along, how did you start to feel more comfortable, and how do you see them sort of navigating this for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, they've been through a lot of experiences prior to this, and they have high expectations themselves. They understand the pressure that comes with it, and they've been dealing with it for a long time. So I think, like anybody, regardless of the scenario or the situation, as it goes along, you get a little more comfortable. But I mean, these guys are used to playing these big games, under the spotlight and delivering, and they did again tonight.
Sid Crosby.
The question about Cale Makar kind of stood out to me. Just looking about like Colorado in general, like their top 2D played 24 and 23 minutes tonight in Makar and Taves. No one else played more than 19 really. And McKinnon plays 15-30, first star, 2 goals plus 3 shots, block hits.
They're the team.
Well, it's like
they're Colorado.
Colorado, like however you build around those guys, you always have a chance when you have guys that exceptional. And they are truly exceptional.
I've been really impressed by Taves.
Yeah.
It's crazy that this is the first time he's ever played for Canada at any level.
It's crazy the Islanders traded him for 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Like, it's nuts.
Well, they should.
Nuts.
I mean, there's been these rumors about Dobson. And it's like, is that not the biggest cautionary tale ever? The trade you literally made?
Dobson at a 70-point season as a D-man at like 23.
Yeah. So I've been really, and you're right. God, it must be nice to have, McKinnon. I guess that's why you can trade Mikko Rantanen. When you're like, we can get Nature's back, and we have
the jury's still out on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what they're thinking is they have this core, they have these guys, but
I was also thinking, a lot of teams talk about teams not loving players play. Like, isn't Rantanen kind of hurt right now?
He's not 100%.
Carolina's got to make a decision before the deadline. Is he going to sign? Are they going to trade him again? He's out there putting it on the line for Finland.
Do you guys want to hear from the goalie, Binnington?
Oh, very much so.
Okay, if we could get Jordan Binnington, that would be fantastic.
Your emotions tonight, and especially the last few minutes?
Yeah, calm all the way through. Obviously we had a great start to the game and a great 50-something minutes or so, and then it kind of got a little scrambly, and they're going to push, right? They have a lot of offensive talent, and especially when they get 6-on-5, they can move the puck around. So obviously just a huge goal by Sid there to make it 5-3 and then just close it out for us.
couple of weeks before.
What's it going to take to win Thursday?
Just doing our job. Everyone committed to our style of play, the Canadian way, and playing hard and competing and playing with courage. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
When you guys heard Nick and Chuck say, "I want to send a message, it's our time," how do you think that?
I didn't hear him say that, but he's trying to make some noise, which he likes to do, and we're just going to stick to our job here and focus on one game at a time, one period at a time.
Jordan, you like that it's here? You've had the greatest moment in your career here. Is that you like that the game is here and that you're in that kind of situation again?
Yeah, two obviously legendary buildings in the Bell Center and TD Garden here. And, I think Marshy's the happiest that it's here. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and the preparation starts now. Enjoy this win today, and then just all in.
What do you think about that Game 7 every time you walk into this building?
Not so much anymore. It was a while ago, but it's nice to reminisce sometimes.
What does the faith that John's putting in you mean to you?
Oh, he's so scared about that guy.
Well,
gamer.
I like his attitude.
He's a gamer.
I think his attitude has helped him a lot. Giving up a bad goal and still it's not playing with him. He's certainly not Samsonov in a post-game.
We had a couple of years covering the Leafs where you had Jack Campbell and Ilya Samsonov going in, and when they give up a goal, they'd be like, I just should be shipped out of the country, and I don't respect myself.
I know.
They're like, whoa.
Things got...
That's not Benny.
No, Binnington, he barely seemed shook by it all, which is a good thing. So.
Yeah, and he let in a couple stinkers on Saturday, but he also made a bunch of great saves in that game, right? It's the give and take. He's a classic gamer goalie that you're not enjoying, but he'll surprise you with one.
So USA Sweden tonight.
Yeah.
Are we watching for anything in particular? Is there anything that interests you?
I think they have some talk that if it gets a little hits a dull, they may go to a skills competition.
Get Kucherov involved?
They're going to need something.
No, is there some concern that Charlie McAvoy's not well?
Well, hold on. Which kind of brings me back to, I know it's just 4 teams, and I don't want them to play it any more than they have to, but
you could say it's 4 nations facing off.
They could have used a semifinal.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Right?
Too many
given
games.
The number of teams.
So if this goes to 8 teams in 2 years, that means more games, obviously, and a longer break.
Well, I mean, more games for the tournament.
Yeah,
the teams
which means
wouldn't
more,
necessarily have to play
more
games.
More dates, longer.
We've had lulls though, right? Kip, tonight or yesterday, there's nothing. There's been some holes they could fill in. I can't see them taking more than 2 weeks off the NHL schedule. Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
How long is the Olympic break?
I think it's all 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks? I feel like it's maybe longer than that.
No, I don't know. I mean, the one that I covered in Vancouver was I think I did 24 games.
Jeez.
24 games?
Maybe 27.
Can you say you did 3 a day?
3 a day.
Oh, how did
Calling
that?
the last
12?
game, like, yeah.
Yeah, but how much did they pay you to get to work that hard?
12, 4, and
Knowing
8.
Kip, a lot.
They were throwing the money back around back then. Hey, holy.
That was just my wardrobe.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Our thanks to Eddie Olczyk from TNT and Luke Fox from Sportsnet.ca. I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 hours.
Housekeeping.
We
are back to an hour tomorrow and back to an hour on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, back to 2 hours to help tee up the game and talk about the game on Friday. So two 1 hour shows coming up Tuesday, Wednesday.
Based on today, I don't know if an hour is going to be enough for
It'll
us.
be plenty.
Hope everybody enjoyed it. A few different opinions here, but that's what makes the real Kyper and Bourne show.
It's healthy.
Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. If you're shoveling, start now.